The next guy we're rapid fire on the guest today on Monday. It's a hot Monday. Really excited. I told you about all of the transfers we got coming in. We have Creighton grad transfer. Dylan, I don't want to mess your last name up. Can you please tell me how to pronounce it? Because my last name has been messed up a bunch of times, and I want to give you the respect. I do not want to mispronounce it. Can you tell me how to pronounce your last name?
Yes, it's Tebrake.
Tebrake. Dylan Tebrake, Creighton grad transfer. Not in studio, on video call in our studio. And we're going to have some fun. Dylan, thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Tell me a little bit about your journey, man. How did you end up at LSU? Obviously, you're at Creighton. You're an enormous human being. Obviously, we see that in the video. You're a grad transfer. You're at Creighton for a few years. You came here. What made you want to choose LSU, and what was the pitch that Jay Johnson gave you to come here?
Yeah, so after this year, I was just looking for something different. I've been at Creighton for 4 years, even though I'm going to be a senior, obviously. And yeah, I entered the portal early June, and within 2 days, I had committed to LSU. I just liked everything that Jay had to say, and Jason Kelly as well, who's gone now. And yeah, I just felt like I'd be a good fit here. I heard need a lot of pitching depth, and so that's somewhere where I feel like I can fit in.
What are your feelings on our new pitching coach? Got to be ecstatic, right?
Well, for sure, yeah. I'm a big Minnesota Twins fan. I grew up in Minnesota, so yeah, I was pretty stoked to see Wes Johnson get hired.
Yeah, it's I mean, he went from college straight to the big leagues. Obviously, I have some Rocco Baldelli used to be my first base coach in Tampa. Awesome dude. In up there in Minnesota, and so I kind of followed him a little bit, and to see what Wes did there in the big leagues right away is impressive, and then obviously to come back to college is unbelievable. What have they told you about the future plans for you? What do they expect out of you coming into LSU? And have they told you a little bit about what to expect about Louisiana? Because you're from Minnesota.
Oh, all right then. Okay then, boys.
It's a little bit different than Louisiana, and not in a bad way. Just it's a little bit warmer down here, a little bit more humid. The food's a little different. Have they given you have they kind of trained you and told you what to expect coming down?
He's told me a little bit about it and how there'll be 12,000 fans every game and stuff, and which is something I'm not used to. We'd usually get 2,000 or 3,000 at most of our games at Creighton.
Right.
So that's something I'm super excited about, obviously. And being from Minnesota, Nebraska, the Midwest area, I'm not used to some of the, I guess, different things about Louisiana and the South. But no, I'm excited.
No snow. We have no snow down here.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Sometimes, most of the time, no snow. There's not the snow that you're used to. That's for sure.
Wait, so you talk about a quick process into the portal within 2 days committed. Have you taken a trip down here yet, or is there something you're doing soon? What's the update on that situation?
I have not been down yet, no. I'm going to see what happens with the draft and then kind of go from there.
Okay. It's not a bad time to miss right now because it's ridiculously hot.
Don't listen to them. It's a normal heat. It's just you get acclimated very well. Don't turn them off.
Listen, this guy's going to be playing professional baseball. He's not going to be here in the summer. Yeah, so relax.
This is not normal. Whatever you pitch in, it won't be this.
Yeah. Speaking of the draft, that was my next question is, what does the draft look like? Obviously, I'm not asking for your number or anything like that. I know how all that works. But, I'm sure you have a number in mind. You have a round or a place to get drafted in mind that if you get taken here, you're going to go. What have you been hearing about the draft? And, what do you expect with it? What is it, 2.5 weeks away?
Yeah, so the crazy thing is so last year I was draft eligible sophomore. And I honestly thought I was going to get picked, and I didn't. So this year I'm kind of in the same boat. I had a little better year this year than last year, so I feel more confident in it. But yeah, like you said, if I don't get the number that I feel like I'm worth, then I plan on coming back to school for another year.
I think the beauty about the way college baseball is now, it's a little different than when I was coming out, is they didn't have the strict slot, right? They didn't have the, hey, you get drafted here, you have that amount of money. And, I feel like if you go out there and you perform, even if you're a senior and you don't really have as much leverage, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, It's just this is my perception. If you go out there and you perform and you say, hey, I have elite stuff and I'm really good, and a team says, well, I can't let this guy fall because he's a senior, I have to draft him in the second round, third round, whatever. It seems like they get paid more now than they did usually in the past just because of the strict slot. Am I wrong off that, or is that kind of what you've been seeing?
No, for sure. Like obviously being a fourth year junior, I've lost a little bit of leverage because I am 22. But like you said, yeah, like in case like they don't want to let you fall, like they're gonna take you high enough to where you're not gonna get completely screwed over like money wise.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the beauty of baseball right now, big league baseball, is they're not doing the old school, hey, we're gonna hold these prospects in the minor leagues for long and let them develop. Like, no, if they perform, they're gonna shoot up through the system and get an opportunity. If they're good enough, they're not. It's no more, hey, get ready. It's more get ready in the big leagues now, which I think bodes well for guys in your position that are a little bit older but have really good stuff. Did you grow up? Obviously, LSU has kind of been a mainstay in Omaha, in that area. Did you grow up watching LSU at all? Like, obviously you knew who they were, but a lot of people from up north around that area grow up as like kind of LSU fans because for a while LSU is in Omaha for so many years.
Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been a dream school of mine, but being from a super small town in Minnesota, like I obviously knew that I had no shot of going there out of high school. But
Said no shot.
I mean, in Minnesota, when do you get outside? When do you get to play outside?
Bro, check out the snowball.
When do you get to play outside?
April, May, and June. That's about it. That's our high school season.
And
like
maybe
being a member of Augusta.
barely April, probably.
Yeah.
God,
Mm-hmm.
that's miserable. Were you a hockey player?
No, never played
Okay.
I'm
hockey.
a hockey guy.
Me either. I'm not a hockey guy either.
If you don't mind, take us a little bit into what happened with the pitch with Jay Johnson, because he's obviously been leveled to us as a ace recruiter. We weren't sure of what kind of message he sends in terms of how he sells it to not only recruits but now transfer portal guys. Was it a lot of, you're born in Minnesota, you played at Creighton, come up to LSU, people don't really know who you are.
Come down.
Come down.
Yeah,
down.
Come on
Listen.
down.
Yeah,
Come
down.
on down to LSU.
He's not Canadian.
Well, that's basically the same accent if you hear both of them. But, French fries and gravy, sir.
This is Lloyd, by the way.
Yeah, that's my producer. That's my producer.
This is Lloyd, by the way.
This is how the chair goes. But was Jay Johnson's message more of come put on the purple and gold, come represent for LSU, and then have some of that exposure that comes with being a part of LSU?
Yeah, I mean, all that had to do with me making my decision. Him talking about some of the NIL stuff it's crazy. Like, we don't have that at mid majors.
Right.
So that's become like obviously a huge recruiting tool as of late. That and like he's saying 12,000 fans will be at most games. Like I said, like I'm not used to anything like that. Some of the other stuff that he said, he's talked about Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan being potential first rounders next year. So that get me in front of like scouting
Ton of
directors
eyes.
and GMs. Whereas this year was more like area scouts and cross checkers.
Right.
So
No doubt.
all of that went into making my decision.
Nice. Can you talk to us about for the people we've gotten to see a couple of highlights and stuff like that and kind of put eyes on you a little bit. Can you talk about the actual pitcher that you are or how you see yourself for the people listening to know what is possibly coming here if things work out this way?
Yeah. So like last year, my sophomore year as a Friday night guy at Creighton, I was like a pitch to contact, kind of trust my defense guy. And then this year was more so of like a power pitcher, strikeout pitcher, I guess.
What went into that?
What
What went
changed?
into that transformation?
How'd that happen?
Yeah, what went into that transformation?
For me, it was like a jump in my stuff is what helped me to strike out a lot more guys this year, I guess.
Did you train? Because obviously you have all of these like throwing programs, and you go to drive lines and all these types of things. Like, did you do anything specifically? Say, hey, like with an emphasis, like I'm gonna generate more velocity, and I'm gonna do things to be able to throw harder, or does that just kind of come naturally?
So I spent the off season with a corporation called Tread Athletics.
Okay.
It made a pretty significant jump in my both fastball and slider velocity. So I feel like that's what helped a lot.
Are you a big spin rate guy? Like, do you focus on the spin
Helping
rate?
the strikeout numbers. something. I mean, like in the off season, like that work on it, and then in season, I kind of just
Yeah,
like compete.
Yeah.
But like, I just think like naturally, I spin the ball pretty well. Like my slider, I don't know if you guys know anything about spin rate, but
Oh,
my
yeah.
slider's been up to
Little bit.
3,100 spin, which is like pretty rare.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, like the majority of teams like are looking at me as like a fastball slider reliever, even though I've been a starter my whole college career.
I mean, would that be that's probably your best pitch, right? Then if 3,100, I mean, with that type of spin and the fact that you've increased your slider velocity, like that's probably, I mean, they're considering that like a plus pitch, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. See,
Hey,
I can speak in scout talk.
Well, yeah. Well, here's a question then for something that's been kind of new for you this year. I mean, everyone kind of goes through their little bit of a funk, whether your numbers show it or not. Really, honestly, was that something the things you worked on in the off season? Was it something that was pretty easy for you to maintain throughout the year?
Yeah, it was more so just like sticking with it. I didn't get off to the greatest start this year, and then kind of as the year went on, I think the weather has a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like once we're playing 70, 80 degree games, it's a lot easier than 30, 40 degree games. And like I had so much better feel for my slider, and that's when my strikeout numbers went way up the last 2-3 months of the year.
Nice.
Dylan, listen, I appreciate you coming on. I don't want to keep your time. We just have a couple more questions. Do you have anything you want to ask? You're done with your questions, Lloyd? I know you may have scared him away.
I don't think so. I think I'm the one that's keeping him here.
Oh, that's the
You're
case?
talking about all
It's all
sorts of hot
perspective.
weather. Yeah,
It's all perspective.
Come down for a fall football game and see if we can't change.
That is something that, look, if I can, I'm
You
not.
can't
look,
put a price on that.
I'm not telling you to
Tebrake.
pass the draft up. I'm not. Listen, I want everybody to get paid and make their money. But if it is a tough decision and you don't know what to do, come down to a football game and that may sway you to say, hey, let me go and dabble with the old college life down there in Baton Rouge for a year.
Just ask what happened to Kevin Gosman.
Yeah. I had to take Kevin Gosman on a recruiting trip. He ended up not signing, came to LSU.
He's done pretty well, I think.
Interesting.
No, we're just messing, man. I'm looking forward to watching you play, whether it's in Baton Rouge or in minor league baseball, and then eventually in the big leagues. Selfishly, obviously, I want to see you here for a year to help us go out there and win a national championship. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I know it's it's a little bit later on in the evening, but you're great, man. You're awesome. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. When you get down here, hopefully come in the studio and we have a little laughs and some fun. But again, Dylan, I appreciate you coming on, man, and good luck. Best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Anytime.